Simcha, the celebration of life.
Hi from me, Jared Epstein, and welcome to Simcha, a celebration of life. In today's show, we look at the relationship between Avraham and Sarah. We meet the DL link and we explore biblical plants from the Bible. In biblical times, men and women from across the region made their way to Beersheba to find help, good cheer, and comforts in the tent of Avraham and Sarah. Both of them lived a life of great faith, were faithful to each other, and ultimately faithful to God.
In today's modern world, we always search out heroes. People who stand above the crowd, people who confront hardships, people who come out and show what they really are made of. And perhaps when we look back into the Bible, one of the most tenacious, most resilient couple is Avraham and Sarah, Abraham and Sarah. Avraham is a thinker. He's a philosopher. He questions life. He looks at life and tries to understand what is behind it. And he comes to the conclusion that there is a manhig olam, that there is a greater force out there that is actually ruling our lives. And as he goes through his quest, God starts connecting to him and sees in Avraham an emissary that can bring that truth to the world. So God appears to Abraham, to Avram at that point in time and says, Avram, I'm going to change your name to Avraham. I'm going to add in the letter Hey, which is the letter that stands for God's name. And your wife, Sarai, I am going to change her name to Sarah. And together, I want the two of you to go leave your birthplace, the land that you live in, your father's land, and I want you to go to a place that I will show you. And so we see Abraham and Sarah form a pact that they go out to the world and start teaching a reality that was not really something that was known in that part of the world in that time. What was their goal? The goal was to spread the word of God, to show the world that there was a higher reality. But how were they going to do that? Well, they set up tent, and their tent was an extraordinary one, our rabbis teach. It was open on all four sides. Abraham was the marketer. He went out, stood by his door, and he called in wayfarers, and he engaged with them. And Sarah, she was the production manager. She prepared delectable meals, made people feel at home. And slowly but surely, they started bringing the consciousness to the world around them. Wherever they went, they spread the message of this higher force. And slowly but surely, the first religion in this world flourished, Judaism, a monotheistic religion that believes in one God. But life wasn't hunky-dory for Abraham and Sarah. In fact, the Bible teaches us that God tested him 10 times to see how true he was to his words. And perhaps the greatest test was the test that they suffered from infertility. And at 100 years old, God sends 3 angels to him. One to bring him the message that in fact now they were successful. They had shown their commitment to God and that they were about to be blessed with an heir. Sarah laughed at the news, because how inconceivable could it be for a woman to give birth at such a late stage? But indeed it was. A year later, on the first day of Pesach, Isaac, their heir, was born. When Abraham and Sarah had Isaac, they understood that they had achieved immortality. Now they could pass this message on to the next generation. And it was such a powerful movement forward that when Isaac actually married Rebekah and brought Rebekah, his new bride, back to his home place to continue the work of his parents, he tested Rebekah by seeing if she had the same stature as his mother Sarah. Our Bible teaches us that there were 3 miracles that happened in Sarah's tent while she was alive. First, the bread that she baked every Friday, the challah, would last in freshness the entire week. Second, the Shabbat candles that she lit also stayed alight from one Friday to the next. And most importantly, we are told the divine presence hovered over her tent. When Isaac brought Rebekah back home, Sarah had passed on. And one of the tests of proving that he was now capable, together with his partner, to continue his parents' life mission was that when Rebekah walked into Sarah's tent, those 3 miracles came back again. And this was very important and a sign from Abraham and Sarah to Isaac and Rebekah, but then moving on through generations, that this is the path that needs to be led in order to bring morality, integrity, honesty to the world. Abraham and Sarah, our foremother and forefather, they came out and changed a world that had gone mad, a world that was involved inward, a world where there was selfishness, a world where people deemed themselves God. They came out selflessly. They opened up their house. They shared. They were compassionate. They were kind. And slowly but surely, they created a movement that to this very day is in existence in the Jewish people. In fact, one of the Talmudic adages says, how do you define a Jew? If you see that he's kind and that he's bashful and that he has a sense of mercy towards his fellow men. That is what was inherited from Abraham and Sarah and moved on then through the generations. So the question I ask you, are you an Abraham and Sarah? Do you go out into the world and change it with goodness and kindness? What are you doing today to make this world a better place?
The journey through cancer can be long, demanding, and draining. Founded in the memory of Devorah Leah Levy, the DL Link shares this very lonely burden and helps families withstand this crisis through love, hope, strength, and support.
Ten years ago, my daughter was diagnosed with cancer. She was 31 at the time, and she had 2 little children. They were aged 1 and 2. And she struggled for 18 months. And during the time that she was struggling, she sat with me one day. She was just an amazing, amazing girl. She was teaching at one of the schools here. And she said to me, Nana, when I get strong, which she wasn't spared to be, but she said, I would like to start an organization helping others. She just was like that. She just wanted to help others all the time. So after she passed away, besides obviously raising her children, we decided to start the organization and to name it for her. Her name is Devorah Leah, so we called it the DL. And we decided to use the name Link because we link patients with patients, patients with medical people, patients with the driver, patients with whatever it is, you know, we link. Our whole job is linking the whole day long.
So the Gel Link runs a lot primarily on volunteers, and it's so important because these are families, either the parent or the child, it just depends on the situation, that has been affected by cancer. They've hit the worst time in their lives and they really just want somebody there to make them smile, to give them a moment of normalcy. People are looking at the warrior, at the person who's been affected by cancer, and they forget about the people around them. So we're there for the people around them to say, hey, we're here, we want to put a smile on your face and we want to help you.
When someone is going through treatment and treatment sometimes is really heavy and it's unpleasant, and You know, it's nice to come home and know that someone is bringing you a meal and you haven't had to think about going to the shops and having to cook it. And, you know, you want to be there for the person and it's something that's off your shoulders. And the DL Link has an amazing network of volunteers and we don't know who we're making meals for. You know, you literally turn up at a house, you have no clue. And these are complete strangers and people are just there for each other. And it's an amazing cushion that is there to catch these families in times when they are needed.
I was with the DL Link before I was diagnosed. Never imagining that I would need or want their services. And that's what happened. In August 2012, I had a rash, a little rash. It wasn't raised, on one of my breasts. And the biopsy showed I had this condition, cutaneous, that means skin, T-cell lymphoma. It hit me like, I was so shocked that I literally, I reckon I had a nervous breakdown. And only, I think, through the strong belief in God, in my belief that whatever happens is meant to happen. And I'm going to learn something from this. I would say I've grown. I have grown in 6 years to be a totally different person. What is my purpose in life? Teaching, yes. Being close to God, yes. And I think with a remission of some kind, I'm going to be able to put them all together and help others.
We use the word warrior when we refer to the cancer patients in which we come in contact, because they're not our patients, but they are warriors. And they are warriors because every day for them is a challenge. We're absolutely thrilled to be able to have the opportunity of renovating such an amazing, amazing centre, which it will provide an enormous amount for the community. My dream is to have a heated pool for aquarobics and a jacuzzi, and I remember my daughter just wanted to be in hot water to ease the pain. Just anything that could provide comfort, hope, inspiration, fun. You know, the people just love to come. They love to be around everybody, around each other.
I was diagnosed in 2012. And if we have a sort of a venue like this, I think it'll really, really bring more of us together, to meet more, to bounce ideas, to chat, to encourage, to support. And I think the plans are amazing. I mean, it's just so special.
We provide a space for people to feel held. For instance, people can go to the spa. Yes, they can go to a million different nail bars, but they don't really want to. So they'd much rather come here and have their nails done, or a massage, or a reflex. And remember, we do not charge for any single one of our services. Those people who can't come on their own, we'll collect them in the car that we had donated. They're just like anybody else, but actually they're just a little different. There's just something that's made them a little different, which will make them a little different forever. But they're normal and they're like anyone else. So we want to provide everything that makes them feel just like anybody else.
There's a lot of heart and a lot of, you know, it's not just a group of people. I mean, there's a lot of very special moments and very special times we have, and you know, and amazing support.
We fundraise constantly, but whatever we do always has meaning. We never do anything that doesn't just have meaning. So we had a fundraiser recently. We took a group of 60 people to run the Jerusalem Marathon. But not only did they run, they actually wore the name of a warrior on their back. And then before, we had a stunning breakfast hosted by friends, and the warriors met the runners. They formed such an incredible relationship. And the one runner said, like at 19 Ks, she said she could not go anymore. She had such pain. And then she said, hang on, I'm running for a little girl who cannot give up. I will not give up. And she crossed the finish line. So it was a very moving experience for us to have. We actually had 3 survivors join our group, and that was incredible.
I did the Jerusalem 10-kilometer marathon. I didn't train once before. I just went and I just got on the road and I went, and it was the most beautiful experience, life-changing actually. And I did it for the recovery of my auntie who's going through treatment. And thank God since then she's actually done very well. So I hope all my prayers and everything in Jerusalem worked for her.
I remember last year I joined some of the group that went to Israel to do Jerusalem Marathon. But we hope this year, I'm calling those who really want to do the Jerusalem Marathon, because I'm going to be the trainer. So it doesn't matter if you have never run, but we are going to start from 1K to 42. So I call upon everyone to come and join us, and yeah, we'll grow.
I feel very privileged to be volunteering in this kind of environment. To be honest, I get a lot more than I give. When people say, wow, like you volunteer, I'm gaining so much more. It's nothing. I'm giving 5-6 hours a week, and these people are enriching your lives in ways you can't understand.
So when I see the difference that we do make in people's lives, that's what inspires me to carry on. But it's not easy. Before I go to any fundraising appointment, I literally say to Dvorlea, hold my hand. And just as I'm sitting here today wearing this beautiful cap that was given to me by one of our warriors, I always wear this cap and perfume from another one of our warriors. And I say, guys, just like you have to face the day with strength, so do I. And I always just give them cognizance and gratitude, and they in turn give me the strength, because what I need strength for is different from what they do, but albeit it is needing strength to do the job that I do.
Pharmacist and curator of the South African National Pharmacy Museum, Ray Poger, has a profound knowledge of medicines, and in particular, medicines that were used in the Bible. Ray shares some of his findings and personal stories about these medicinal plants.
I qualified as a pharmacist in 1955. In 1955, there were very few of the chemical molecules available. We used medicines, the standards were established on the British Pharmacopoeia, and by and large, most of them were extracts from plant material. We knew then, for example, digitalis, which is still used today, we knew there was a plant in which you extracted it. Of course, science then and medicine then and the kind of investigations that they could do today were not known in those days. But certainly from the first British Pharmacopoeia that I have here in the museum of 1834, we were using plant material, extracts from plant material. So I used Ezekiel 47:12. It tells you that on the banks of the river, on this side and that, will grow all kinds of trees. They will be used for food, their leaves will not wither, the fruit will not fail. The fruit will be for food and the leaves will be for medicine. And that's what triggered my interest, because all my life I've been a pharmacist and I've been making medicine, and when I started I made them from leaves and from other plant material. I had to look further to see who made them and how was it made, and I found the following quotations which further set me going on my research. So in Exodus 30:23 and 24, it says, "Thou shalt also take unto thyself the principal spices of pure myrrh, sweet cinnamon, sweet calamus, cassia, and olive oil." And the exact weight of each ingredient is actually stated, how much it should be used. The weights are in shekels and the liquid are in hin. Then again in Exodus 30 and 25, "They shall make an oil of holy ointment, an ointment compounded after the art of the apothecary." That is where it came in. That is, the original pharmacists were apothecaries. It went on to say in Exodus 30:35, it gives a formula, of all the sweet spices, onycha, galbanum, frankincense, each of like weight, and it should be compounded after the art of the apothecary. And in Proverbs, to further consolidate the scientific training I had, it said that a false measure is an abomination to the Lord, but a just measure is his delight. And of course that is how we made medicines in those days. So I had a look to see which were the medicines that were mentioned and which ones that I can find. In the introduction, the first medicine that's mentioned is myrrh. And myrrh is mentioned a number of times in the Bible. In Ezekiel 47:12, it mentions it. And I also had a look to see whether traditional healers and herbalists are using the medicines nowadays. And as far as myrrh is concerned, it is supposed to help in resistance to infection. It's used a lot for bed sores. It's made up into an ointment and an application, and for muscle cramps. So in those days it was a medicine, and today it is still used as a medicine. The next one, which is an important one, is olive oil. The photograph that I have of the olive tree is almost 1,000 years old. Olives are mentioned for all sorts of things in the Bible, and nowadays, of course, we still use olive oil quite a lot. It's antioxidants. It's supposed to be an excellent product that's used in skin products today. It's used in hair products, and some people even say that it reduces cholesterol in the blood system, because it has the healthy oils, not the ones that make people ill. Now we come to frankincense, and frankincense we hear a lot about. It's mentioned a large number of times in the Bible. It's quite a popular one in Solomon's Song of Songs as well. Its main use nowadays, it's oil, which is used for massaging. It's very soothing. And there's some experiments taking place in France, I read, where they spray it in the wards when people come back from operations, and it seems to calm people down very nicely. And so there seems to be a new investigation into a medicine that's thousands of years old. When you daven in the morning after Shachris, they've got this little program where you have Ein Kelahenu. At the end, there's a formula for the incense. And it gives very clearly what you should use and how much you should use. And it says if you leave out an ingredient, you could be sentenced to death. So the care that was placed on things that were made in those days is exactly the same as we have to observe today.
That's all we have for this week's episode of SIMCHA, a celebration of life. As always, we'd love to hear from you, so please send us your Facebook messages at Spirit Sister Productions. From me, Jared Epstein, and the SIMCHA team, remember, never Google what medicine you should take. Rather, go see your doctor.